Hello friends, today we are going to see what is consumer interface and what is supplier interface and what is the difference between those two. That said, let's get into the definition of each of those. Consumer interface is a functional interface. It has an abstract method called accept that will basically accept a parameter and then it performs some operation using it. And when it comes to supplier interface, it is also a functional interface which has an abstract method called get, and that will basically return a value to the calling code. And both of those are functional interface, and the functional interface is something that we have already seen, which is basically interface which has a single abstract method, and using the lambda expression we can give implementation to the functional interface. And this is the interface of consumer interface. If you look at it, as we have already discussed, it has one abstract method which is accept. Basically it does not return any value, but it accepts a value, and that's an abstract method. So using the lambda expression, when we give implementation to this method, we would be giving the actual implementation what this accept method needs to perform. And there is also another method which is not an abstract method. It is a default method. Basically it is something that introduced as part of Java 1.8. Functional interface can have a default method, and so this method which has a signature of consumer, and then it takes the parameters of consumer. Basically this method is used to perform some sort of chaining operation, like when you have a consumer interface and you want to perform some operation, and then you want to chain the next consumer interface that has to be invoked. You can do that, and this will be very much useful when we do stream related operation. And supplier interface, again, supplier interface, as we have discussed, it has one method, one abstract method, which is get, and basically it does not take any parameter, but it returns a value. And this is the supplier interface interface logic. And we can see how to use these two interface using a simple Java program. So this is my class which has a main method, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a supplier interface with an implementation, and I'm going to invoke it. Supplier interface. So here what I have done is I have given implementation to the supplier interface using the lambda expression. Since it does not take any parameter, I have just mentioned it as a open and close, and then there is an arrow pointer, and then this is my lambda expression block. So inside the block what I am doing is basically I am invoking the math class random method, which will return a random value, and that is what returned. So I hold the reference of this implementation using this variable, and now if I invoke that method, let's say that we know that this instance has a method called get. Basically when you invoke a get method on this supplier instance, this operation will be performed, and then the value will be returned, and that's what going to be printed at the line number 7. Let's go ahead and run this and see the output. Okay, so when I ran it, what happened was this get method was invoked on this instance variable, and then this particular line got executed, and then it returned a value, and then that's what we got here, and the same thing was printed using the system.out.println statement. And every time you run it, basically it does not take any parameter, but it gives you the random value, and that's what the implementation for supplier. And now let's go ahead and see what is consumer interface and how to use it. So here what I have done so far is I have created a consumer interface, and the implementation for my consumer interface is it takes a parameter named v, and then I have given implementation using the lambda expression. The implementation basically what it will do is it is going to print the incoming parameter on the console. That's what the system.out.println will do here, and then the object reference is held in this method variable. And in the next line what I have done is I have initialized an array list of names, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to invoke the for each method, which takes a consumer implementation, and for each is something that was introduced as part of 1.8, and when I pass this consumer instance, basically it is going to invoke this for every object that is there in the list. So let me go ahead and run this. Here you go. So basically what it did was it invoked the consumer operation for every object that is present in this list, and basically it printed the value. If in case if you want to do some operation other than print, you can also simply do it. Let's say so here what I have done is I have basically converted the incoming value to uppercase, and then I'm printing it. So if I run this, all this value will get printed in the uppercase. So this is the use of consumer interface. So let me reiterate what we have discussed so far. The supplier and consumer interface both are functional interface, and the supplier interface is something that has a single method get which will not accept any parameter, but it will return a value back to the calling code. In case of consumer interface, it is also a functional interface which has a single method accept. Basically it will accept a value and it processes the value. The accept method does not return any value, unlike supplier interface. And I hope that you guys know what is supplier interface and consumer interface now, and the difference between those. And thank you very much for watching this video.